Today marks the start of Black History Month, and the Black Opportunity Fund is helping support a prosperous, healthy, and thriving Black Canada. The community-led charitable organization is doing its part to help close the racial wealth gap through investment, entrepreneurship, and systemic change. The organization is set to receive the Chancellor's Award at this year's University of West Indies Toronto Benefits Award. And for more on this, we are joined live in studio by Craig Wellington, CEO of the Black Opportunity Fund. Craig, thanks so much for joining us, and happy Black History Month.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
And for those people who aren't familiar with the work you do, can you help us understand what you've been up to the last year?
Yeah, Black Opportunity Fund is a national charitable organization that's focused on dismantling the impacts of systemic anti-Black racism, and we do that by catalyzing generational wealth creation, and we have a whole community approach that looks at entrepreneurship, investment, education, justice, health, housing, the whole gamut. And in the last year, we've been extremely busy. Last year, we launched a separate investment entity, BOF Capital, where we've launched two investment funds. One, a $100 million targeted investment fund to invest in Black-led businesses for growth investments, and a $50 million housing fund to create pathways to home ownership for Black people in Canada, which is the lowest home ownership ratio of any racial or ethnic group. And we think that is a key catalyst in terms of bridging the racial wealth gap.
Wow, those are some very impressive numbers in the work that you guys are doing. Can you talk a little bit about the inequities maybe Black Canadians face when it comes to getting loans, and exactly why your organization is so helpful? I know you do a range of things, but when it comes to the investments?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we find, and I think it's critical to have this understanding, there was a awakening about anti-Black racism as a catalyst after George Floyd, and all of a sudden we realized there was socioeconomic disparities going back decades, if not hundreds of years, and a number of investments started to be made. And what we looked at is how can we make long-term sustainable change as opposed to just short-term grants and so on that are just moving the problem down the road. So since George Floyd, socioeconomic indicators for Canadians across the board, housing, loans, justice, health, across the board are worse since George Floyd. So I think that's something that people really don't understand, because the systemic changes have not been addressed. So that's what we're laser focused on doing. It's an audacious vision, but in order to cross a chasm, you can't take incremental steps. You've got to leap. And what we're doing is taking a leap, and we're having the community and Canada leap with us.
And you said it best, having Canada leap with you. So it's important to have people of all different cultures and backgrounds also be an ally. As we reflect here on the start of Black History Month, how can people of other cultures and ethnicities help out the Black community, whether it be finances and all the other areas that you touched on?
I think the important thing is for everybody to understand, if any one group faces barriers to achieve to their utmost opportunity and their utmost capacity, it affects Canada as a whole. So I think it's listen, it's learn. There's a lot of information about the systemic barriers that Black people have faced in Canada that we don't know about. A lot of times I still hear people saying, well, we didn't have slavery, and we talk about things like Black people in the U.S. escaped to Canada during the 1800s for freedom during the Underground Railroad, but we don't talk about the fact that in the 1700s, enslaved Black people in Canada escaped to the U.S. for freedom. So we tell parts of the story. We don't talk about, the extent of the Ku Klux Klan and so on, and their presence in Canada since the 1920s. We don't talk about the fact that, again, Black people have the lowest home ownership ratios, and when they get homes, they're more likely to face mortgage rates and interest rates that are higher across the board. And what that does is that's a barrier to economic inclusion. So just listen, learn, and be prepared to use your privilege to open the way, open the door for others. Again, this is a this is a whole Canada approach, and this is about all Canadians achieving pathways to equity.
Absolutely. Well, Craig Wellington, you have explained it so well. Thank you so much for joining us today, CEO of the Black Opportunity Fund. Thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.